Well, good morning from Texas. I finally feel just northwest of San Antonio like I'm back in the West. This is the beautiful little hill country town of Boerne, Texas. And although I very much have to be hitting the road today, got a lot of miles to cover, I thought I'd begin my day just taking a little stroll around town. Dude, and already, what a fun little town it is. Just take this shop on the corner, for instance. I love this flashback funtiques. Just one little peek through the window will show you just how fun it is. Some amazingly beautiful buildings here in downtown Boerne. Spelled like this, by the way, and seemingly full of statues. There are giant statues all over this freaking town. Driving through the hills on the way into town, I noticed it's quite prosperous around here. I feel like it costs a little to live here. And although there are some cool things like this freaking record shop right here, record store and barber shop, definitely a lot of little art galleries and little historical spots. See what I mean about the statues? Look at this. There are statues galore. See, fine art all over the place. Definitely speaks to the prosperity of Boerne, but this place was actually founded in the early 1850s by German immigrants who probably didn't have much to speak of in the way of creature comforts. And now look at their descendants wandering among the fine art. But it's not all bougie, hipstery stuff. There's a lot of historic buildings here, a lot of little regular shops accessible to most people. Got a lot of old Western charm out here. Look at this, look beyond the pink ribbons and decorations. Look at these cool archways. That old school yellow Texas brick and stone. Something about it just feels so Western. Something in the air, something about these scrubby hills of the area. Not that San Antonio yesterday and the Alamo didn't feel Western in its own way. I think it's just something about the style of the buildings down here, like the old city hall on the hill back over there, or this old jail, or the design of this original 1909 courthouse. I mean, notwithstanding the German immigrant influence out here, you can definitely feel that old Western influence. You can definitely feel the Old West. I love that. I love the old ghost signs on there, the hand-painted signs, sheriff's office and sheriff's car. I wonder if something used to be parked over here. It's now a museum, which is closed today. Like most of the public restrooms and things, they did have quite a bit of ice out here from what I understand during the recent winter storm. So a lot of stuff is closed. Not a lot of visitors rolling through town lately. Oh, look at this behind the jail. There is still some ice on the ground. Still some remnants of the recent winter storm fern that blew here. Still a lot of power lines and stuff like that being fixed all over Texas and much of the United States right now. Look at this, you can see today on this random Thursday, this museum complex back here will definitely be closed. Like I said, my legs needed a stretch this morning. Look at this, sitting in front of the Coleman King House Museum. By the way, they're testing a tornado siren there. Have no fears, I don't think there are any tornadoes coming our way at the moment, although you never can tell, can you? Ooh, ominous. Anyway, there's an old home and museum behind this. This is the old city hall. There's a sign out front on the street that makes me think they might be repurposing it soon for something else. Okay, good, the siren has stopped. No fence on the pathways back here. I like how over the gate it just says historical house. The original sign, the Coleman King House Museum. There's a little historical marker up there. Oh, look at this. There's a little old building. Looks like an old house. Behind City Hall itself. Maybe that's the original City Hall, huh? I think the house we're looking for is up this shady path here. And I can see a Texas historical marker up ahead. So I think we're free to look at least at the outside. Oh yes, look at this. This structure was built in the late 1880s as a residence for German native William Coleman, a successful pharmacist and landholder. He sold the home in 1908 to Selina Long King, whose sons operated the local King & King Lumber Company. Look, and there's several other buildings back here in this museum complex. Looks like there might be some hiding down this way. I can see some more historical markers. You gotta forgive me if I'm slurring my words a bit. Oh wow, look at that. Still have that broken tooth. I have that like Dentex stuff in my mouth, a little patch, but it's making my tongue funny. Plus, I have not finished this morning's coffee. This is the Henry J. Graham building, constructed on Main Street in the late 19th century. Main Street's where we just were. It was a real estate, insurance, and private banking facility. This guy was born in Brazil and came to Boerne in the 1870s. So immigrants from all over. Pretty cool little I'm glad I came up the street here. Saw it when I was driving into town. So I came by some weird back roads. A little mistake was made there with the navigation in the car. But luckily my mistake took me right past this place. I thought I better go back up there. All right, I am heading home in earnest now. The winter storm and having to be bogged down in Louisiana for quite a while cramped some of my style, and as you can imagine, dropping everything in your life for an entire month does not exactly heal the budget. By the way, look at this epic tree. Oh my gosh. That is amazing right there. It looks like something out of a Tim Burton movie. It's just beautiful. Basically all the proceeds of all the hot sauce sales and then some is all gone now, which means I've got to start thinking about being home for a while and recharging to head out on some more adventures, because of course we got the 100th anniversary of Route 66, the 250th birthday of the United States of America coming up this summer. There's hopefully a lot to do and a lot to see out on the road this year, if I can manage it. I was supposed to have a GI surgery this month. Obviously I couldn't. I was in Florida. They have definitely dropped me far down the list now since I couldn't make my date. So I don't know when that's going to happen. What's up, dog? We got Adam the Woo's memorial to finalize. I gotta do some work with my hands. I have some tiki masks to carve and try and sell. Time to get back to life and wife at home. Of course, I am still a zillion miles away from that destination, but I gotta make tracks today, heading as far at least as Fort Stockton. So over the hills, through the woods, and into West Texas. And look at this. We're on the Great Western Trail. So an appropriate route, an appropriate stop here in Boerne. And of course, I'm sure there will be other stops along the way. So, time to hit the road, my friends. Hit the road, Jack. Ooh. I'll tell you what, I miss my home and everything. But when I get home, I'm really gonna miss these gas prices. All right, we got off the interstate, rolled into this small town here. Because although I've got to journey on as fast as I can, there's a place not too far off the interstate I try never to miss when I'm roaming through Texas. Welcome to Stonehenge. Stonehenge, where the demons dwell, where the banshees live, and they do live well. Stonehenge, where a man is a man and the children dance to the pipes of Pan. Leave it to Texas to have its own Stonehenge. Stonehenge II, in fact. It all began in 1989 when a Texan by the name of Doug Hill gave his buddy Al Shepard an extra piece of limestone left over from a project he was working on. And then Al Shepard got his old buddy Doug Hill to work on a new project for him. He was inspired by the mystical stones to create his very own Texas version of Stonehenge. And oh, how they danced, the little people of Stonehenge, beneath the waning moon, for fear that day might come too soon. Something about this is the most Texas thing ever, having their own Stonehenge, 60% as tall as the original, and 90% as wide, so not quite as big. I guess not everything is bigger in Texas, and after Mr. Shepard passed away, he donated Stonehenge II, and the stones were moved here in 2012. I've been here before. We've done a little random landing here on the property before, but as I mentioned, I never passed this way without stopping to take a peek at Stonehenge II, and another creation of the two friends that stands just outside the sacred ring here. Because if Texas is gonna have its own Stonehenge, then why not its very own absolutely massive Easter Island Moai? Would you look at the size of that noggin? It's at least 2 alleys tall, and the property that we're on is the Hill Country Arts Foundation. You see their main building and gift shop right over here. It has never been open when I've come through here. It looks like it's undergoing some reconstruction. There's a creek just down that way, or a little river that often floods, I'm told. I don't know if that's 100% relevant to the gift shop being closed. Maybe they're just doing some maintenance over there, or maybe I'm just always traveling through here at the worst possible time, but I've never seen it open. There it is, Stonehenge II, located on a little spit of land between Johnson Creek down there, the creek I was just talking about, and off on the other side of the highway over there, the Guadalupe River, or the River of Nuts as it's called, as we learned the other day in Seguin. Incidentally, in addition to Stonehenge II over here and the main moai right here by the little parking area, you can see just over there in the driveway. But this moai is not alone. He's got a little friend over here. Well, I should say a big friend on Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, as the locals call it. They often have these pukao, as they're called, or these top knots, these sort of little hats on there. That's why I was inspired to put on my own very Texan hat at the moment. They also have full bodies, oftentimes buried under the dirt. Sadly, in 2027, after the US travels were over, my friend Adam was actually planning on visiting Easter Island. Over the past year, he invited me on several of his international travels. I had some health issues, so I didn't want to go overseas and end up in a hospital by any kind of accident. So even though multiple times he offered to pay for me, I was like, I don't really want to do that. But when he talked about Easter Island, I said, oh, that is one I would definitely let you pay for. And it was kind of in the loose plans, no firm plans. That just dawned on me right now. It made me a little sad. I now no longer know if I'll ever get to see the real Easter Island Rapa Nui, but at least I'll always have the moai here at Stonehenge II. I've also seen one of the original ones in the British Museum back in 2006 when I was in London. Sorry, I'm telling you, I'm a little tongue-tied. My tongue gets a little Texas twisted out here. So I have seen an original moai, one of my favorite things ever, and often mixed in with the tiki aesthetic because, of course, the inhabitants of Rapa Nui were relatives of the Polynesians, the world's greatest navigators, for whom I have just an untold amount of respect. Anyway, seeing this right now is just making me think of my departed friend. Cowboy hats off, a moment of silence. A lot of people have said to me, you should do Adam's trips. You should do all the trips that he was planning on in his honor. Well, I have to tell you, as a close friend of his, he would have just hated that. He was always an original. He always loved to do his own thing. He loved for other people to do his own thing, or their own things rather, sorry. Nobody can woo like Adam. However, we had lots of bucket list plans together that we had made over the years that I'll think about doing eventually. Easter Island being one of them. If I ever get there, I'll have to do it in memory of my fallen comrade. All right, well, I've determined to no longer cry on camera or to be a bummer if I can possibly help it. So I'll keep that to myself and we will keep cruising along. It's easier to bear now sometimes. I'll have a really good day like I did yesterday with my friend Oscar, and we'll be laughing, we'll be just having a great time. Then I'll be in the car alone like today and feel a lot heavier and sadder. Sometimes the tears still come. Mostly it's just a heavy, dead lead feeling. But it now, having been about 6 weeks, it's since the first shock, it's more heavy on my mind that, like Adam would always say to me, you got to get busy living or get busy dying. And since I'd rather not die anytime soon, I guess that means it's time to get busy living. Oh man, you can see along the highway some of the results of the ice storm, some of the wrecks and stuff. Look at how the landscape changes so much, so quickly. It's been a little while, so just pulling off for a pit stop here at Gordo's. Never been into a Gordo's before. Oh, nice. Certainly a lot of art on the wall. The finest art of all the art. Please tell me that's a glow-in-the-dark crucifix. Ooh. I definitely see some things that remind me of my old pal Tyler Evans. Look at these Mexican large hats. If you know, you know. That's Scarface. Gordo's had very clean, very nice restrooms. Definitely worth stopping at. Also, a lot of toys in here. I don't think I'm ever going to be allowed to buy toys again. Maybe we'll talk about that later. All right, I stopped at Gordo's because it sits right on the edge of this old town here, Junction, Texas. The junction of the North and South Llano Rivers, I believe. That's how it got its name. It's not far off the interstate, so it's not exactly back roads, but it's a little town. I've never stopped here and checked it out, so I'm gonna go downtown, see what there is to see. I'll tell you what, this was obviously once a hip and happening stop because I saw a bunch of old motels and restaurants on the way in. There's a barbershop right there called Some Dumb Guys. I should probably get my hair cut there. All right, considering that it's actually the warmest day I've had since I've left Florida, it's 70 degrees right now, I find this surprising. But look at all the ice left on the side of the road. That's why I didn't take a more backroads route, because the back roads are not as ice-free as some of the major towns and interstate stops. Had a shortage of salt all across Texas. Speaking of Texas, look at this theater right across the way. The Texan Theater. That is such a cool sign. What a cool marquee. Doesn't look like it's been playing any movies for a while. You know how like Hollywood's always in trouble? Like less and less people are going to the movies? Reopen these little theaters, man. It'd be great if some of the big chains would restore some of these. You'd corner the market, give people something to do in the little towns like this. Even the old Family Dollar here is closed up. Wonder how long it's been since this is open. Man, looks like it's been closed for a while. There's a little store across the way that's open. So this little strip downtown is not quite fully abandoned, but largely so. A little church, a little real estate office. Huh. Somebody's trying to reopen one of these little shops here. This looks like an old 5 and dime because of the old tile on it. Apparently, at least upstairs, probably. Built in 1902, this was the old Masonic Hall. Wow. The ground floor office was the office of Dr. Burt and numerous other businesses. But look at this. This might still be operating. That is crazy. Still operating for the sake of the widow's son. This is a more mid-century storefront right here. Some kind of office is still going on in it. So, yeah, not entirely abandoned downtown. Oh, wow. Just reaching the corner here. Look at that old courthouse. I love wandering down old main streets. This was Main Street that we were walking down. It looks like there's some rehabilitation or some construction going on over here. Some fences up, but numerous historical markers. Major William Addison Spencer on that one. John Sterling Durst. Coke R. Stevenson. Whose name is Coke? What is that? Is that short for something? Huh. Colonel John Griffith, Confederate officer. Look at the courthouse back there, yeah. Closed for renovations. I believe the river is down there against the bluffs. Must have been a hip happening spot because of the river, I would assume. Here we get to the front of the courthouse over here. Take a little gander. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that old clock. That is cool. Got an old historical marker here about the fight of the sheriff's posse with cattle rustlers. Some of the rustlers were killed. One was tried and convicted. Bro, it's so quiet out here right now. So quiet. This is what I love though. Love the old small towns of America. As much as we have a powerhouse economy and all that stuff, I'd love to see the small town economies rise again. Ooh, look at this. Right next door to the police department, or maybe part of it, right across the street from the old courthouse being renovated. Look at this. It's got a City of Junction bulletin board out front. Could this be the little city hall? Very cool Art Deco style, see? Not going to see that just anywhere. Got some information about Junction, county seat of Kimball County, town site platted in 1876. And as of 1972, when they put up the sign, it has had 8 mayors. Probably had some more since then. But yeah, look at this. City council meeting room right inside of here. So this is clearly a very small, or humble, I should say, city hall. But what a cool design. I love the little wings on either side. That's probably the original police department on this side. Then look at the shed they've got for their vehicles now. I think that courthouse is very cool looking. Boy, they're doing a lot of work on that. Reviving the whole thing, that is awesome. Normally when I stop in towns like this, I try to buy, you know, a soda or just something from the little shops along Main Street if I can. But not much is open on this random Thursday after the ice storm. Across the street here to give you a better view of that corner we just passed. The tall building on the right is the one with the Masonic Hall upstairs. Looks like some horses have been around. I can see a very small old building down there with the Junction Eagle on it, the old newspaper for town. Some old brick buildings, old houses. Man, I'd love to see this place when they were building all these buildings and getting stoked. Like, yes, our little town is growing. This looks like it was probably an old pharmacy, maybe? Based on the ghost writing up there. You know that probably had a big shop window along the side. All painted over now. It's Angela's resale shop now. They got a little florist open down here. I don't need any flowers at present. There's that Masonic Hall building. Look at these, though. Classic. Classic old storefronts. Look at the old Main Street Mercantile here. The old transom windows all blocked up now. I love this old door. Check out that mail slot down there. That is so cool. Got an old barber's chair or dentist chair there in the window. Looks like some construction materials, some wood inside. I just walked through a big spider web. I don't think that's gonna focus. A lot of these buildings have old counter displays and stuff inside. A lot of history left over in these shuttered storefronts. Hello there. Oh, look at this. You can sign up for cheer. Looks like another little resale shop. Times and seasons. A Main Street variety shop. Not open at the moment. Looks like they might have some treasures in there. They got a Georgia mug. Some cool murals in the windows. Yeah, not much going on in Junction today. Town seems a little dead, but not gone and not forgotten. Oh. One little thrift shop was open there. Might go inside in a second, off camera. I just wanted to see the old ticket booth here at the Texan Theater first. That is cool. Look at this, just some advertisements on the window for July of 2002. They were showing The Sum of All Fears, Scooby-Doo, and Spirit. I was gonna say 2002, it wasn't all that long ago, but yes it was. Feeling a little old. Feeling a little old. Didn't even notice that payphone thing across the street there. I was looking at the ice in the gutters. Look at this. Cute town, very quiet. Very quiet. One of those towns where you can literally walk across Main Street and then stand in the middle for a long time without ever being disturbed. All right, well, that's going to be it for here. Time to mosey on down the highway. Pretty strange weather has overtaken us here. Very cloudy. 72 degrees outside, though, so the warmest it's been, like I was saying. Oh, we're crossing the Llano River right now. One more little small town just around the bend I want to see. Oh, here it is, right here. Roosevelt, Texas. Now, considering that Teddy Roosevelt recruited his Rough Riders from Texas and spent time in Texas, thought it might be interesting to see what's in Roosevelt. First, we gotta find it, though. It's gotta be along here somewheres. Oh! It looks like this is it. Got the old Presbyterian church here, but in the parking lot, if I turn around, just next to this field of cactus, an old abandoned house, and an old school bus, there's a little historical marker. Apparently this was the Fort McCavick to Fort Clark Military Road back in the 1850s. When the forts were reactivated in the 1860s, it became a freight road. It's just off the I-10 corridor, so this has been a path traveled for a long, long time. All right, let's go see if there's anything else to see in town other than this church here. Oh yeah, kind of a romantic looking place in its own way. One of those little small towns I love to stop in and spend a few minutes going in the general store. And there is in fact a general store here. Look at this little place, Simon Brothers, since 1912. And this is also the little post office. Obviously also some other more industrial looking businesses in town. Definitely some barbecue grills for sale. Just gonna stop here because there's another historical marker sign as well. I love spots like this. I just love sitting on the porch of a general store somewhere in the West. Some small town around the bend of an old highway. It's my favorite. All right, began with the establishment of the post office in 1898. Sorry about the wind noise there. Pretty cool. Apparently at one point the Rough Riders had visited this area, so there is a Roosevelt connection, a loose one. I love that the old gas pumps are still sitting there right along the side of the highway. Very, very quiet place. Ooh. Oh, there's the post office. And look at that. A freaking bear. Please don't touch me, I'm old. You and me both, buddy. Oh my gosh. Dr. Pepper, 0 sugar. Cherry Dr. Pepper in a bottle. I can't even find this at home. Oh, there's a tiny little cafe through that door. Look at the deer heads up here. Wow. My hands are getting full. I love these things right here. You would not believe what that little handful of stuff, plus a couple stickers, cost. Oh, look at this old Spanish Trail Apartments. So I won't even tell you, sometimes in the middle of nowhere, which I have to say, Roosevelt pretty much is, things can be quite costly. So places can stay open. It's worth it though, you know? All right, that was sort of the midpoint between Junction and my next stop, which is just about 30 minutes away, just a little more highway driving. That's what I like to do. Can't tell you the number of times I traveled I-10 back and forth from California to Georgia on tour in the band. Or the amount of overnight drives I did between LA and Texas. It's like an old friend. A lot has changed, but a lot has remained the same. Ooh, pretty windy out here now. I got off the interstate for what might be my final stop of the day, don't know yet. Rolling into the tiny town of Sonora, Texas. Oh, it's a beautiful old gas station. Crossing the dry Devil's River, which is actually dry, despite there being so much rain and melted ice around Texas. And cruising into town. Oh, see, look for the brown signs. Left to the historic district. Oh, wow. Let me park real quick. Here it is, little downtown Sonora, Texas. Way down at the end of the street with the moon rising above it. The county courthouse. Dude, this looks like something from a painting. Looking down the side streets here. I love those old Western original sidewalks. The big curbs that were meant for wagons back in the day. Dude, this is phenomenal. Got City Hall and the old First National Bank on the corner here. Little State Farm insurance agency. A whole bunch of shops along the side of Main Street. Some are shuttered, like Everett's Furniture and Emporium over here. But look at this, you got some little boutique shops. And I love these old buildings that still have their awnings. Some of them are barely clinging on. They're hanging on there. That is so cool. Let's climb up the sidewalk here. Look at the colors of those storefronts. It's the awnings, man. A lot of towns have lost their awnings and have lost their old tin roof ornaments. These still have their awnings. You don't see the little decorations that would have been at the tops of the roofs, except just up the street towards the courthouse. Look at this. The Devil's River News building and its neighbor still have some of that ornamentation. Dude, it is so quiet down here. I don't know what time it is. I think like 3:30 in the afternoon, so it's not like closing time anywhere. Just so quiet. I love this, the old land banks here. Wow, check out those old, probably cast iron awning poles. It's weird how the interstate made much of America, but also ruined much of America, because look at this amazing Main Street, literal Main Street. Look at this old building here, maybe an old hotel. Look at the size of it. So cool. Hard to see with this carved cowboy in here. Will works cows for food. Then up at the head of the street, the courthouse. Ooh, little remnants of ice on the ground. Oh, and I almost missed this behind me. The historical marker. There's about 1 billion of them behind me by the courthouse. Old mercantile building. So this 2-story building was constructed in 1902 on the site of an early hotel. Okay. Ornate facade of cast iron and pressed tin. And then as the sun begins to lower in the sky, look at this huge old, probably oak tree. And then this, the county courthouse and the 1 billion little historical markers I was telling you about. Once again, just like the last county courthouse we saw, Whole bunch of tributes to former inhabitants and pioneering inhabitants and veterans and all kinds of people and families. Oh, up here's an interesting one about the Sonora town well. Pioneers seeking grazing land in arid Sutton County needed a reliable source of water in 1887. Sonora's closest well, one of the 5 in the county, was 3 miles away. So Charlie Adams sank the town's first well in 1889 at this site, which became the courthouse square. And the water was originally pumped out by one of those old school Texas windmills. Dude, look at that courthouse. That is awesome. All right, I'm going up. I'm going up. This feels so much more like a haunted house or Phantom Manor or something than a courthouse. Just the shape of it and then this long, lonely walk up to it. Got some veterans memorials, soldier memorials on the sides. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? Like something from a movie. That is absolutely gorgeous. Some of the townsfolk were telling me about all the ice that was here over the past week. There was a lot. That's what I was waiting for to melt before I came this way. So it looks like my waiting was not in vain. I would have encountered a whole bunch of wrecks and horror stories on the highway. Oh, I hear church bells. The old church off to the side has its bells ringing. One, two, three, 4 chimes. Guess it's 4 o'clock after all. Just decided to make a little loop of the courthouse. It's very cool looking because I could see some sheriff department vehicles over here. And that means, I presume, that this is the old jail. Oh, wow. Look at this. We're still at the back of this building. Look at the size of that tree hanging over it. This tree has been here for a long time. Hopefully I'm not disturbing private property. Oh, see, look at that. Look at all this ice right here. See. Oh, that is still just slick. Like I said, temperatures are in the 70s right now, although the wind is still pretty cold. But everywhere in the shade, you still got ice all over the place. Yeah, sure enough, historic jail. You can call somebody to get tours, it appears, sometimes. Look at this old metal door here. There is electric lights on it. That old keyhole, that is sick. Got some more stately trees growing here in front of the old Sutton County Jail. Built in 1891, or begun in 1891. Once had a jailer's residence in addition to the cells for lawbreakers. First prisoner here was gambler and gunman John Denson, a cousin of outlaw John Wesley Hardin. Oh, there's a historic home museum across the way. The Mears, the Ike Mears house. Isaac moved out here in the 1880s. Built this place in 1888. It's now a museum. Came out by covered wagon. This says there's a voice guided tour. Push button. Is it actually open right now? I don't know. Let's see. No. Oh, but you can push this button at any time for the story. We just got the Cliff Notes version from the sign. Look at that. A lot of historic artifacts are in there through the window. I love when even small towns like this preserve their history. You know your history. Very good. I love these huge trees. Look at the thickness of those arms right there. Gnarly trees. Crazy. Some of these towns may be forgotten by the rest of the world, but I love seeing that they're not forgotten by the people who live and still reside in them. Some other old buildings off that way. Public library here. Look at this, the First Methodist Church. A little playground over here. Oh, and another sign. This church was first chartered in 1892. The first building here was built in 1894. This one's from the 30s. Pretty cool, man. Cool designs. Pretty clear that I'm a traveler and a stranger with my Buc-ee's t-shirt, and yet everybody driving by is giving me a smile like they're stoked. Like, hey, he's checking out her town. I love that so much. Man, that courthouse is cool looking. It's like something out of a dream. Look at this stone wall here. Look at these old stone blocks. Some are protecting the trees, which I love to see. Man, I wish I could just do this for the rest of my life. Just visit little small towns like this and go walk about. This is truly my favorite thing. I mean, I wish Allie you know, my little wife or a friend was here, maybe Adam the Woo, but at least you guys are here. Multiple ladies who have offices here or little stores have come out and chatted. So it's not so lonely. I love towns like that. I'm sure not all of the town is like that, but I love that in this little downtown, people are committed to that southern hospitality. As we're still sort of in the south, as far west as we've gone. Sort of southern hospitality meets western charm. Best of both worlds. There are some famous caves nearby, the famous caverns of Sonora. Look at the moon rising up there. I'm not going to be going to those today, although I've always wanted to. So I've always seen those signs along the side of I-10. It's amazing that these little forgotten towns are so close to the interstate and yet so quiet. My window is no longer in a very fit state for a driving tour, being now spattered with bugs, but at least that means I've slain many of my enemies. Wow. Hold on, I gotta pull over again already. Look at this. I was just heading off in the direction of the town water tower. I saw the old fire truck right here. And if it's got a shed over it, usually that means, hey, might be a museum. And look at this, the Sutton County Historical Society. We might be in luck. The signs say open, although a lot of signs have said open today that were not quite accurate. And sure enough, right here, open, but gone to bank. Still, look at this. We got some horoscope artifacts on the porch. I don't know who that's supposed to be. General Lee with a bowler hat. The old Sonora Ice House Ranch Museum. They have a little gift shop right here. Old Masonic cornerstone on the ground. Well, I was just at the bank. I didn't see anybody going in or out, so gone to bank might be gone home for the day. But we gave it a shot. Could see an old gypsy style wagon in the backyard there. Look at this old Ford fire truck. How cool is that? Sonora, Texas. We are about to enter the Sonoran Desert as we make our way westward home through Arizona. Beautiful. A lot of dry washes out here. We're definitely getting out west. There was all this ice that just melted. And still the rivers run dry. The dry Devil's River. And its little tributaries. I've got no water. I was hoping if I drove around to see some historic homes. These are apartments right here. Not too many ornate ones. Look at the little police station coming up. Inky dinky little town. Police station. Couple old houses. It would be awesome, I think, sometimes to live in a town like this. I mean, sure, I know a lot of people who live in towns like this and they would tell you, no, dude, it sucks. Like, there's nothing to do, blah, blah, blah. It's got its drawbacks, I get it, but the sense of community you would have to have in a town like this, you do not get where I live. I'm sure people who live elsewhere are like, oh, you're so lucky, you live right next to Disneyland, you're so close to Hollywood and all these places. Yeah, but I don't know my neighbors, you know? I know my immediate neighbors, that's about it. We don't have town functions that are meaningful in any way to me. I guess the grass is always greener, but there's definitely something lost the more people you have living in one spot. I've come to a very weird dead end down here by this huge old warehouse. All right, I gotta start making my way back toward the interstate, I guess, because this is not my home. Just gotta turn back onto Crockett Avenue and make my way back. My accommodations for the night are not that far now. Apologies if the camera refuses to focus because of the bug spatter on the windshield. I don't have my reading glasses, so I can't tell. I'm really enjoying this drive today. I used to hate driving up and down this section of I-10 back in the band days. Like, oh, there's nothing here. Turns out, all along the interstate on the little highways and byways, there's a lot of truly magical America left. Just have to take the time to slow down and stop and see it. By the way, towards the interstate, there's a lot of modern businesses. You got your Dairy Queens and such like things over here, over this way. Sonora Outlaw Rodeo Stadium. Too bad there's no rodeo today. I've never been to a rodeo. Is it fun? I don't know. Whoa, Sonora Towing's got a cool collection of old cars and gas station signs out there. But as for today's visit, let me roll up the windows here. That's at an end. I gotta make it to Fort Stockton, get to my hotel, before sundown, I hope. We'll see if I can make it. Didn't used to be anything in Fort Stockton. That was a place we used to stay. Sometimes you get those coupon books where you could get a hotel for 25 bucks a night or whatever. The kind of place where you have to worry all night that someone's gonna break in and violate you somehow. But not only have I since been back and seen the town by daylight in a way that makes me actually appreciate Fort Stockton, but it's grown up quite a bit. They got a Walmart there now. They got some nice hotels. The La Quinta, where I'm staying tonight. I hope, if I can make it there. Been driving for, I don't know, 6, maybe 7 hours with all my stops. Still another 2 hours to go from here. I probably could have made the whole distance at 4 hours if I had just left straight from the hotel this morning and not stopped, but hopefully you can now see exactly why I do stop as much as I can. All right, that was only a 2-hour drive, but it sure felt like the longest 2-hour drive of my life after a little while. Every once in a while, man, I'll drive like 5 or 6 hours, feels like nothing. And then I'll drive 2 hours and it feels like everything. But look at this, finally I've reached the outskirts of Fort Stockton, and there is where I bed down for the night. La Quinta. First a little Walmart action to get some supplies. And then I hotel and sleep well. Still some rough around the edges bits here. This has been an oasis for trucks and travelers for many, 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 many years. So you've got every kind of hotel and motel in every kind of state of decay, but also rebirth. It's just one of those highway towns. And yet I see brand new chain hotels. I see a brand new Domino's over there, and then look at this. This wasn't here back in the day. Look at this brand new Walmart. Nice. What the heck is going on out here? Man, it's a small Walmart. But believe me, having spent some time in this town before, the people must love this being here now. There are places where a new Walmart opening would be quite destructive, but there are other places like this where it must be a boon, specifically for jobs. Dude, the grocery, the pharmacy, toys, so many items you can't get in most small little towns, and you used to not be able to get here in Fort Stockton. I even found gluten-free food here, stuff that I don't even have at home, usually. So imagine if you had a food allergy or something like that in this town before, finally this came. You gotta look at it that way. I myself am pretty well supplied. I just came to renew my string cheese supply, grab some chocolate milk as a treat, and this adventure will be over. Oh my gosh. That French fry dipping sauce at Walmart is so good. All right, I successfully avoided buying any cutting boards at the front of the store. Someone's trying to sell some glow-forged cutting boards out there. I've got my meager rations with me. The weather isn't too great. What the heck is that thing? Sounds like it's singing while it drives. I don't like that. But anyway, the weather's a lot better than it has been lately in other parts of the country. So I suppose I really ought not to complain. I feel a lot closer to home now, even though I've only come a few hundred miles closer. And even though it was cheap, I have no doubt this will be a pretty nice hotel room, especially compared to some of the ones I used to stay in Fort Stockton on this very road. Uh-oh, somebody's in trouble. Dude, right out here, right on this road, probably right where that spark is, actually. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, right over there. Used to be one of the most run-down little motels of all time. We stayed out on tour in November 2007, where myself, my old bass player Monkey, and my old drummer Ben thought we would almost certainly be murdered and robbed that night. It's gone now, lost to the dust of history. Crazy. Also, I'm going the wrong way because I just wanted to check on that hotel. I have many miles to go. I really extended this. Anyway, night is settling down on Texas. The sun's going down on America tonight. Anyway, if you'd like to see some more road trip adventures like this in the future, later on this year, the way you can keep the show on the road, the best way is Patreon, but we've also got a merch store. We're restocking my book soon. We got new hats. We got Random Land hot sauce, the best hot sauce there is. Oh, you know what? I'll put a link in the description also for my wood carvings page. I don't have any at the moment, but I will do in a couple weeks. You can follow my Instagram for the wood carvings. For now, though, I think this adventure has come to a close. And 100% that murder motel was right over here. That's so crazy. That's so great. It's gone now. The whole town has changed. A lot of new stuff, new car dealerships. Pretty impressive. Maybe we'll see it in the morning. But until then, my friends, we've done our duty. It's time to hotel and sleep well. This is the part where I always think, oh yes, I can finally sleep. All is right with the world. And then I remember I have to edit for like, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And I get a little sleep. Whew. But if you're seeing this, that means I did it. And I did eventually get to sleep, so. Hooray, team! All right, good night, guys. See ya. Hello? Echo! Weird. Somebody wasn't obeying one of the things on this sign. Good night. What's up, dog?